So as I was walking, I was thumbing through other social media sites, and somebody asked me where was I at on 9/11/2001. That's interesting. I've never really been asked that directly. So that's a good question. Well, during 9/11 of 2001, I was in my second year of law enforcement, and I was actually off duty that day. And I was, I don't know if many of you remember the, I'm sure you do, but the Borders books and music stores before the chain closed down. I was actually moonlighting there, of all places. And was off duty from the police department that day. And I was actually standing behind the register that morning. And someone come out of the back and told me, because they all know what I did for full time, that planes have hit, well, just the first plane hit the World Trade Center. So I told the manager, under particular circumstances and what I do, I need to kind of see what's going on, even though it was in New York City, Manhattan. So I did that. Someone relieved me so I could run to the back break room where the TV was and watch a little bit of it. And so I said, wasn't sure what to make of it. I didn't know if a computer locked up and drove a plane into it, so I don't know. So anyway, I went back up to the front to resume where I was, and at the time there was a cafe off to the side, you know, coffee shop like most bookstores have, and they had cut all the TVs onto that. It was really weird seeing all the breaking news stuff coming on, and I was physically watching when number one, my pager went off, because back then in 2001 I didn't have a cell phone, you know, it was a pager from the police department, and my pager went off, and about that time the second plane hit. Sorry, hit the wrong button. So the second plane hit. So I told my boss I just got paged from the police department, I need to call, and so I called. It was long distance, of course, at the time, but I gave him a call. And the chief of police told me that the you know, the NCIS, you know, computer NCIC, was lighting up like his Christmas tree. We are under legitimate attack, and I needed to report to duty immediately. And I was still confused, like, okay, this is in New York. Why have I got to respond? But so I went home, you know, clocked out. I told him I had to go. Couldn't believe it. The boss at that time actually said if I left that I couldn't come back. So I left. You know, of course they let me back. General management didn't exactly like I didn't stay much longer after that anyway, before I just had enough and quit. But so I left, and I come home, and my dad, who was, you know, obviously still alive at the time, was home, and he was watching it. And so I was just kind of watching and getting my uniform together, getting the badge put on it and all that other stuff, you know, the shiny shit. And when I was getting ready to head out the door, when the building started collapsing, and then they were talking about how there was a, you know, And again, it's been so long I don't remember specific details and timing, but you know, plane hit the Pentagon, and plane crashed out in Pennsylvania. So I didn't, you know, it was, second plane was enough, but you know, that definitely told me how serious the situation was, much more so than it already was. And so immediately got there, and I took you know, the ODs, you know, during specific high-risk warrants and stuff. We didn't always wear you know, a blue uniform. We wore OD green sometime with a vest, rifle, helmet, you know, typical SRT stuff. I took that gear instead and got down there as quick as I could. And it was when I got down there that they said during the computer lighting up like a tree that it was starting to come out that a lot of the supposed hijackers had North Carolina driver's license. So that kind of made all sense why we were initiated, especially after, you know, George Bush says calling all law enforcement, military on duty and stuff like that, and that made a lot of sense then. He just, you know, couldn't tell me at the time. So it was a pretty interesting time. So that was it, you know. I was behind a cash register moonlighting when it all went down, and I was on duty within hours. Ended up staying there for a good couple days, just getting as much intel as possible. Now, we were in a small town. There was little threat, but the most interesting thing was, and I won't go into a lot of detail about it, where I was law enforcement at was where airborne and special operations out of Fort Bragg conduct Robin Sage exercises. And our job at the time, which is why we wore the ODs, was to pretty much kit up and patrol the outside perimeters, which are still technically classified. I'm not allowed to talk about it today of where they were. The outside perimeters of where those guys were conducting training for any activity, you know. And even then, before all this PC crap started, you know, we were on the lookout for, you know, Middle Eastern males that might have been in the area snooping around. So nothing ever happened. But we were there just because, you know, the military wasn't, probably not all of them, but, you know, there wasn't any live ammo those guys had, so we were just there just to make sure nobody messes with them for the most part. So that was my 9/11. And a few days after. So anyway, guys, I want to hear your story. Where were you on 9/11? If you want to, put in the comments below. I'll certainly read them. Might even comment to them. Alright guys, we'll talk to you later. Stay safe.